Hey everybody, it's Chris for AllEars TV and AllEars.net. Today, Hollywood Studios. The hints are simple. It's tall, it's dark, and it's awesome. We've got some hints and we've got some tricks and we've got some trivia and hopefully stuff you don't know, so step on in. Come with me for a ride on the Tower of Terror. Going down, and then up, and then you get the picture. Looming ominously at the end of Sunset Boulevard is the rundown Hollywood Tower Hotel, home to one of the premier thrill rides at Disney Hollywood Studios, the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. The Tower of Terror sends guests plummeting and then speeding upward again and again and again, and then one more time. It's a far cry from the ride that debuted in July 1994 with only one big drop. Now it truly lives up to its name. The Twilight Zone Tower of Terror is a Fast Pass Plus attraction. Queues at this attraction continue to be long during busy periods, so Fast Pass is highly recommended, although you will have to pick between Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster to get your thrill-seeking fix, as they are both now considered Tier 1 attractions at Hollywood Studios. Remember, Fast Pass is free to all Walt Disney World guests, but you're only able to choose 3 Fast Passes in advance, and for parks with tiered attractions, you can only pick one attraction from Tier 1. The hotel is modeled after such landmarks as the Mission Inn in Riverside, the Chateau Marmont in Hollywood, and the Biltmore Hotel located in downtown Los Angeles. Its fictional construction date is 1917, which can be seen on a plaque while standing in line. The Imagineers made one mistake when designing the exterior of the building. The Hollywood Tower Hotel sign was placed too low on the structure. In fact, the sign would have been underneath the 2 wings that were destroyed when hit by lightning. They fixed this mistake when the ride opened in Disneyland. Guests with oversized wheelchairs and ECVs must transfer to a standard wheelchair for the queue and then transfer to the ride vehicle. Video captioning and language translation devices are available. Service animals are not permitted on this attraction. Height requirement for this attraction is 40 inches. So, spoiler, there are repeated drops in this attraction and they can be jarring to guests with sensitive backs or other medical concerns. Pregnant women or others with medical considerations are advised against riding this attraction. Don't take this warning lightly. This ride can be really pretty intense. It's also very dark and probably not advisable for folks with a fear of the dark or claustrophobia. Rider switch is available if you have younger kids who aren't riding. Many of the items in the queue and other areas of the attraction are from actual episodes of the original Twilight Zone series, such as the poster for the Anthony Fremont Orchestra in the queue, and the small metal robot on a ledge in the library. We can go on. The first time I went through this queue, it got me interested enough to watch some of those older episodes, and even today, they are still pretty great. An early idea for this attraction called for a scary yet humorous attraction based on Mel Brooks' Young Frankenstein that would be housed in an elaborate castle. Mel himself even sat in on some of the early brainstorming sessions. As possibilities continued to be explored, the Young Frankenstein idea morphed into a haunted hotel concept, and soon after, the attraction took on a more serious tone and Mr. Brooks left the project. After queuing through the lobby of the dusty old Hollywood Tower Hotel, guests are directed into a library to view a short film hosted by Rod Serling, creator of the original Twilight Zone television series. The clip of Rod Serling was taken from the episode titled It's a Good Life. However, the voice used is that of Mark Silverman. Mr. Serling's widow made the final selection after the Imagineers narrowed the field following hundreds of auditions.
The Twilight Zone. Hollywood, 1939. Amid the glitz and the glitter of a bustling young movie town at the height of its golden age, the Hollywood Tower Hotel was a star in its own right, a beacon for the show business.
If you watch the television show carefully, you can see a Mickey Mouse plush toy in the young girl's right hand before she gets onto the elevator.
The Tower Hotel was a star in its own right, a beacon for the show business elite. Now, something is about to happen that will change all that. The time is now, on an evening very much like the one we have just witnessed. Tonight's story in the Twilight Zone is somewhat unique and calls for a different kind of introduction. This, as you may recognize, is a maintenance service elevator, still in operation, waiting for you. We invite you, if you dare, to step aboard because in tonight's episode, you are the star, and this elevator travels directly to the Twilight Zone.
At the conclusion of his story, you are plunged into momentary darkness and then guided into the hotel's boiler room where you await your elevator to the 13th floor. Just before you board the elevator, there is an exit for those who change their minds at the very last minute. Be sure to just let the cast member know if you wish to exit at this point. Guests are seated aboard an old, rickety freight elevator that glides through mysterious hotel passageways past ghostly images of former guests. Each seat has its own seatbelt to keep you safely restrained during your ride. After everyone has been secured in their seat, the elevator doors close and you are whisked up several stories. When the doors reopen, you're looking into one of the hotel's hallways. You'll see the family that disappeared on that fateful night long ago reappear for just an instant before lightning strikes once again and they vanish forever. I'm not going to give away how they create this illusion, but if you're curious as to how it's done, look up Pepper's Ghost on the internet. It's a trick that you'll see in many other attractions like the Haunted Mansion and the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. The doors close once again and your elevator continues to its ascent.
What? Oh no!
When the doors open this time, the elevator moves forward as if into the fifth dimension. In order to accomplish the elevator's forward motion, the cars needed to be motorized and on wheels. These autonomous guided vehicles are powered by onboard electric motors and batteries. Improving on techniques developed for Epcot's Universe of Energy, the vehicles used fast-charging batteries that can be recharged while in use. One of the props in the Fifth Dimension room is a giant eyeball that opens to reveal a passing elevator car. At one time, a picture of the actual car you were riding in was displayed, and you could see yourself. But sadly, this effect was eliminated a number of years ago due to, I'll say it, obscene gestures some guests made while having their picture taken. At the end of the Fifth Dimension room, a star field gathers with great effect, and suddenly doors slide open to reveal an inky blackness. Your elevator proceeds into this abyss and then stops. Now, for a moment, nothing happens. Then your elevator goes wild. The drop sequence that you experience is selected by a computer, and each ride is unique and random. You never know if your journey will start with shooting up to the top or dropping straight down to the bottom, but the lack of predictability is what makes it great. You'll eventually wind up all the way at the top and then plunge 13 stories. At one point, the doors of your elevator open to reveal a vista from 13 stories above the park. To accomplish a faster-than-gravity fall, the elevator car you are riding in actually enters a secondary elevator car located in the drop shaft, and it locks into place. The secondary car has cables attached to both the top and the bottom, allowing motors to literally pull you down faster than a natural free fall would generate. The motors used on these elevators are significantly more powerful than those used in modern skyscrapers. Ride engineers tested 33 versions of Tower of Terror before coming up with what they felt was the best and most thrilling attraction. Eventually, the elevator comes to a rest in the basement. If you look to the side of the car before it turns, other Twilight Zone props can be seen. The slot machine from the episode The Fever and the ventriloquist dummy from the show titled Caesar and Me are both in view. You'll also notice a large B painted on the inside of the elevator doors, signifying basement. As the doors open, the B splits and creates the number 13. Imagineers watched each episode of the original Twilight Zone series at least twice before even beginning to develop this ride. Since it can be seen from Epcot, the architectural elements and the color palette for the Tower of Terror were chosen to blend in as part of the skyline of the World Showcase Morocco Pavilion. For me personally, this is one of the most innovative and spot-on perfect attractions in Disney World. It never fails to entertain, and it never fails to thrill. But what are your thoughts? What attraction gives you a better bang for your Disney buck? I'm anxious to hear what you have to say in the comments, because this ride works for me. Be sure to visit AllEars.net, where you can read other reviews, or better yet, you can rate and review this ride. Hey, if you like this video, click on that thumbs up. Be sure to stay tuned to All Ears TV and AllEars.net for more Disney news, fun, and stuff. And follow us on Instagram at AllEars.net. New to this channel? Check out our other ride videos here, and please subscribe to AllEars.net. Clang the little notification bell so you immediately get notified when we post a new video. This is Chris for All Ears TV. See you next time.